What if I told you there was a specific window in time where a Japanese samurai could have sent a fax directly to Abraham Lincoln? It sounds like a totally unhinged internet meme. But time travelers, I guarantee you, this is 100% historically accurate. Our brains love to put history into neat little boxes. We think of the samurai as ancient warriors, Lincoln as a dusty Civil War figure, and the fax machine as a piece of clunky 1980s office tech. But today, we're going to shatter that timeline. We're going to prove exactly how these three completely different worlds collided at the exact same moment in history. First, we need to completely erase the idea that the fax machine was invented in the 1980s. Let's travel back to 1860. Meet Giovanni Caselli, an Italian priest and physicist who was way ahead of his time. Caselli perfected a device called the pantelegraph. This wasn't a small plastic box. It was a massive 2-meter-tall machine powered by a swinging 8-kilo pendulum. By writing with non-conducting ink on a tin plate, this mechanical beast could scan and transmit handwritten text and drawings over standard telegraph lines. And it wasn't just an experiment. By 1865, the world's very first commercial fax line was officially open for business in France, instantly connecting Paris and Lyon. So, the fax machine is up and running in 1865. Now, let's look across the Atlantic to the United States. Abraham Lincoln is serving as president during the absolute darkest days of the American Civil War. To manage the massive scale of the war, Lincoln was completely obsessed with rapid communication. He didn't just wait for news at the White House. He practically lived in the telegraph office of the War Department in Washington, D.C., visiting multiple times a day. He would sit there for hours, physically waiting for the telegrams to print, reading them the second they came over the wire. Lincoln was technologically primed and perfectly positioned to receive rapid electronic messages. But how does a sword-wielding samurai fit into an era of presidents and primitive fax machines? Japan was just emerging from centuries of strict, total isolation. But here is the critical fact. The samurai class wasn't officially abolished until the year 1876. And we have the visual proof. In 1860, Japan sent a massive diplomatic delegation of 77 high-ranking samurai straight to Washington, D.C. These astonishing, crystal-clear photographs were taken by the legendary photographer Matthew Brady. They were literally walking the same streets as Lincoln. Even crazier? In 1862, another samurai delegation traveled to Europe. They walked the streets of Paris, and records show they specifically studied and analyzed the Western telegraph stations. Now, let's bring it all together and drop you right into the year 1865. In France, Giovanni Caselli's pantelegraph is commercially transmitting images back and forth between Paris and Lyon. In Washington, D.C., Abraham Lincoln is sitting in the War Department, heavily relying on the peak of telecommunication technology to run a country. And walking the streets of Japan and carrying out diplomatic missions right there in Paris are fully armed, highly respected samurai. While Caselli's commercial fax service was physically limited to the Paris-Lyon line at that exact moment, and a transatlantic cable hadn't quite linked Europe to America yet, the technology, the president, and the ancient warriors were all breathing the same air in the exact same timeline. If a samurai on a diplomatic mission in Paris had walked into Caselli's office in 1865, he absolutely could have fed a handwritten message into a machine and beamed a fax across the country. History isn't a straight line. It's a messy, overlapping web. Giovanni Caselli's pantelegraph firing up in 1860, Abraham Lincoln sitting in the War Department, and the samurai ruling until 1876 all share the exact same space in time. Now I want to hear from you. What historical events do you absolutely refuse to believe happened at the exact same time? Drop your mind-bending timeline facts in the comments down below.